Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn about IELTS Speaking Test Part 1. The topic of our lesson is a picnic. In this lesson, we are going to look at some questions and some sample answers. At the end of this lesson, I'm also going to give you some tips to ensure that you pass your IELTS speaking test with a very high band. But before we begin the lesson, have you subscribed to this channel? If you haven't subscribed, then do subscribe to the channel and I promise you will not regret it. The reason being, I upload very helpful videos not only for IELTS speaking but also writing and grammar, vocabulary, and also videos that are going to help you to speak English in different situations. For example, how to speak English when you go to the hairdresser, or when you go to the dentist, or when you go to the doctor. So have a look at my playlists and you will find videos that are going to be very, very helpful for you. Now let us begin our lesson. The first question is, do you like going on a picnic? Do you like going on a picnic? In this question, the examiner simply wants to know whether you enjoy going on a picnic. Now you can answer this question by saying, yes, I do enjoy going on a picnic, especially on weekends with friends or family members. Sitting outdoors whilst enjoying a few snacks is so delightful. Yes, I do enjoy going on a picnic, especially on weekends with friends or family members. Sitting outdoors whilst enjoying a few snacks is so delightful. So in that answer, I did not simply say, yes, I like going on a picnic. You have to explain your answer further. You have to elaborate it with a few more details, because remember, the idea behind the IELTS speaking test is to convince the examiner that you have a good command of the English language. So that is why I provided extra details after I said, yes, I do enjoy going on a picnic, especially on weekends. Take note of that preposition, on weekends, with friends or family members. Sitting outdoors whilst is another word for while. Okay, whilst enjoying a few snacks is so delightful. Delightful is another word for enjoyable. Now let's move on to question 2. What do you pack for a picnic? What do you pack for a picnic? In this question, the examiner wants to know, before you go on a picnic, what sort of things do you pack? What sort of things do you bring with you to the picnic? Now you can answer this question by saying, on most occasions, when I go on a picnic, I tend to pack a few sandwiches, fruits, and a few drinks or bottles of water. In addition to that, I do also pack a mat to sit on. On most occasions, when I go on a picnic, I tend to pack a few sandwiches, fruits, and a few drinks or bottles of water. In addition to that, I do also pack a mat to sit on. So in that answer, I have described the things that I pack for a picnic. On most occasions, I said, so on most occasions means on most days when I go on a picnic, I tend to pack a few sandwiches, fruits, and a few drinks or bottles of water. In addition to that, I do also pack a mat to sit on. Now, I have used a number of linking words in that answer to help me describe all the things that I bring for a picnic. I have used, for example, the linking word and. In the second sentence, I have used the linking word in addition to that. And I have also used the word also. In addition to that, I do also pack a mat to sit on. Let's move on to question 3. What are the best places to have a picnic? What are the best places to have a picnic? In that question, the examiner wants you to identify some of the best places to have a picnic. You can answer that question by saying, there are numerous places where someone can sit peacefully to enjoy their picnic, such as parks, by the sea or riverside, and also at the beach or in a botanical garden. There are numerous places where someone can sit peacefully to enjoy their picnic, such as parks, by the sea or riverside, and also at the beach or in a botanical garden. So in that answer, I have identified numerous places. Numerous places. The word numerous means many. There are many places where someone can sit peacefully to enjoy their picnic, such as you can go to a park, you can go by the sea or riverside, and also at the beach or in a botanical garden. I have also used a number of linking words to help me to describe the places. I have used such as, okay, there are numerous places where someone can sit peacefully to enjoy their picnic, such as. Such as is another word that means for example. So if you want to use such as, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to replace that with another linking word, then you can use for example. I have also used and also, okay, and also, those are also linking words. And finally, I used or. So for each question, ensure that you have a number of ideas and then just join all your little points together using linking words as I have done in that answer. Let's move on to question 4. Why do people go on picnics? Why do people go on picnics? In that question, the examiner wants you to give some reasons, explain some reasons as to why people go on picnics. Now you can answer that question by saying, majority of the people go on picnics to relax and enjoy being outdoors in a quiet, tranquil environment surrounded by natural vegetation, the sea, or beautiful botanical gardens. Majority of the people go on picnics to relax and enjoy being outdoors in a quiet, tranquil environment surrounded by natural vegetation, the sea, or beautiful botanical gardens. So in that answer, I have given some reasons as to why people go on picnics. I said that, firstly, people go on picnics to relax. 2, they go on picnics to enjoy being outdoors in a quiet, tranquil. Tranquil means peaceful. So they want to enjoy being outdoors in a quiet, tranquil environment surrounded by natural vegetation, the sea, or beautiful botanical gardens. Let's move on to question 5. Did you go on picnics as a child? Did you go on picnics as a child? In that question, the examiner wants to know when you are a child, did you go on picnics, for example, with your parents? You can answer that question by saying, as a child, my parents did not go on picnics because we lived in a very overcrowded and busy city, which made it difficult to find a quiet spot for a picnic. As a child, my parents did not go on picnics because we lived in a very overcrowded and busy city, which made it difficult to find a quiet spot for a picnic. So in that answer, I have made it very clear to the examiner that as a child, I did not go on picnics, and I have explained why. That is because we lived in a very overcrowded and busy city, and that made it really difficult to find a quiet spot. Spot means place. A quiet spot, a quiet place for a picnic. So if you don't want to use the word spot, then you can say place, a quiet place for a picnic. Now, let's move on to the next question, and that is question 6. Is going on picnics popular in your country? Is going on picnics popular in your country? In that question, the examiner wants to know whether people in your country like to go on picnics. Okay? Is it common? Do a lot of people in your country go on picnics? Now you can answer this question by saying, most certainly. Majority of my countrymen derive a lot of pleasure from going on picnics with their families, especially in the summer when it is warm and sunny outside. It has become a popular family outing. Most certainly. Majority of my countrymen derive a lot of pleasure from going on picnics with their families, especially in the summer when it is warm and sunny outside. It has become a popular family outing. So in that question, I confirmed that majority of the people in my country enjoy going on picnics. Picnics are very popular in my country. I use the phrase most certainly. Then I explained further that a lot of people, my countrymen, now if you don't want to say people in my country, then you can say my countrymen. They derive. Derive means they gain. A lot of pleasure is a lot of enjoyment from going on picnics with their families. And that happens especially in the summer when it is warm and sunny outside. It has become a popular family outing. Now, this brings me to the second section of this lesson, where I'm going to give you some tips to ensure that you pass your IELTS speaking test with a very high band. I'm also going to give you some examples of how to use those tips. Tip number 1, listen to the examiner very carefully to make sure that you understand the question. For each of the questions, ensure that you provide a number of points. Like, for example, when you ask, do you like going on a picnic? Don't simply say yes or no. Explain why, okay? I do enjoy going on a picnic, especially on weekends. So explain, when do you go on the picnics and who do you go with, okay? Especially on weekends with friends or family members. And then you give the reason why. Sitting outdoors whilst enjoying a few snacks is so enjoyable. So provide answers that are well explained. Elaborate your answers. Tip number 2, ensure that you use linking words to join all your points together for each question. As you can see in my sample answers, I have used a number of linking words. In the first sample answer, I used the linking word or, with friends or family members, okay? And then I also used in the second sentence there, I used the linking word whilst. Remember I said that whilst means while. In sample answer 2, I did also use a number of linking words such as in addition to that, also. Okay, in addition to that, I do also pack a mat to sit on. In sample answer 3, I used a number of linking words also. I used mainly or, and, also. In sample answer 4, I used a number of linking words there also, mainly and, or. Okay, so ensure that you use linking words to join your ideas together. In sample answer 5, I used because. As a child, my parents did not go on picnics because. Okay, and then I used and, overcrowded and busy city. And then we also have which made it difficult to find a quiet spot for a picnic. Now, the next tip is ensure that you use a variety of sentence structures in your answers. Use simple sentences, use compound and complex sentences. Okay? In sample answer 1, yes, I do enjoy going on a picnic, especially on weekends with friends or family members. That is a compound sentence. Most certainly is a simple sentence. Okay, almost a phrase. And then in sample answer 4, majority of the people go on picnics to relax and enjoy being outdoors in a quiet, tranquil environment surrounded by natural vegetation, the sea, or botanical gardens. That is an example of a complex sentence. And if you look at the last sentence in sample answer 6, it has become a popular family outing. That is a simple sentence. So a simple sentence has one verb. Compound sentence has two verbs. Complex sentence has 3 or more verbs. So ensure that you use those 3 types of sentence structures. The next tip is use vocabulary that is relevant for the topic that you're talking about. In this topic, we are talking about a picnic. In my sample answers, I have underlined for you all the vocabulary that you will need to talk about a picnic. In sample answer 1, I underlined for you sitting outdoors, enjoying a few snacks. Usually when you go on a picnic, you bring snacks. You sit outdoors means you sit outside to enjoy yourself, okay? And then you have what the things that you pack for a picnic. You have sandwiches, fruits, a few drinks or bottles of water, and usually you bring a mat to sit on. Some people bring a cloth. In sample answer 3, you have the vocabulary such as sit peacefully to enjoy your picnic, a park, sea or riverside, at the beach, or in a botanical garden. In sample answer 4, you have vocabulary such as to relax and enjoy being outdoors in a quiet, tranquil environment. Remember, I say tranquil means peaceful. Surrounded by natural vegetation, surrounded by the sea or beautiful botanical gardens. And then in sample answer 5, I used words such as overcrowded and busy city, and to find a quiet spot for a picnic. Remember, I said spot here means place. To find a quiet place for a picnic, or to find a quiet spot for a picnic. And then in the last sample answer, I used the word my countrymen to mean people in my country. And then to derive a lot of pleasure, derive means to get a lot of pleasure, and pleasure means enjoyment. And then the last word that I've used or phrase that is very relevant when you're talking about a picnic is family outing. Now, the other tip that is extremely important, that is going to actually determine your band more than any other tip, is ensure that you use the correct grammar when you're giving your answers. That means that your tense should be correct. That means that you should have good subject-verb agreement. And that also means that you use the words correctly in English. Okay, you use prepositions, for example, on weekends. Okay, on weekends, on most occasions. Okay, by the sea or by the riverside, at the beach. Okay, in a botanical garden, in a quiet, tranquil environment, surrounded by natural vegetation. Okay, so ensure that you use your grammar correctly. In the summer, okay, all the prepositions should be used correctly. And finally, use the correct intonation when you're speaking. Okay, intonation just means lower and raise and lower your voice depending on what it is that you're saying. Okay, you use intonation for stress sometimes. For example, when you're giving sample answer 6, is going on picnics popular in your country? Most certainly. Okay, so you stress that using intonation. And finally, do not worry if you have a deep accent. You will not lose marks for having a deep accent. You will not get a lower band because you have a deep accent. You will only get a lower band if your accent makes it difficult for the examiner to understand you. So the best way to deal with that problem is to practice. For example, read the questions and the sample answers aloud. That will help you to practice how to say the words, but also to help you improve with your tempo. Your tempo is the speed that you speak English with, okay? And finally, if you're going to be sitting for your IELTS speaking test in the near future, I wish you all the best. Remember, you can do it because all it takes is practice. Practice, 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 because practice makes perfect. Now, if you found this lesson helpful, then subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and share the video on all your social media platforms because sharing is caring. Bye-bye until our next lesson.